Hey everybody, Harry here. I just wanted to say happy Halloween to everybody and to take a minute to thank you for listening to our first season of this show. This is something that Jen and I have really enjoyed making, and we wanted to see if we could continue to do it a little more frequently than just once a year. So if you're into this, if you like thinking about horror films analytically, evaluatively, then go on to your pod streamer of choice. Give us a quick follow. Give us some comments and some stars. Those ratings and reviews help people see the show. It puts them in their, for you streams and what have you. And on top of that, it just motivates us. It's really nice to see that people are listening and that you're enjoying the show. So if you have time, give us a quick review. It would be lovely. Today, we are going to hear about Talk to Me with our friend Mandy Goldman. And here she is.
There was a guy in the theater when we saw it, and he went, "Oh, no!" And he went, "Oh, she fucked up. She fucked up," because he was talking about how she let it go on too long.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Bless that man in
God.
the
People in the
theater.
theater, especially in scary movies. Sometimes it's the best.
That's
Thank
amazing.
God. It was Sam was like, "I don't know if I would have made it without that guy."
That's a great response too.
Oh no.
I'm Harry Nichols, and I am an English teacher and a singer-songwriter, and I like movies that make me feel bad.
Is that the theme of the introduction? Is you say who you are,
Yeah.
what you do,
And what's wrong with
Usually
you?
not
Like,
how
what's
you
your
feel.
damage?
and what's wrong with you?
Oh my God.
Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Now I know.
Now you know.
Yeah,
can
usually
go
we don't
third.
talk about feelings, but yeah, because how we're feeling. I'm Jen, and I am a tattoo artist and an artist, and I love horror movies. And I don't know, how am I feeling? Disappointed that it doesn't feel like fall yet.
Oh, yeah.
And that mosquitoes are still biting me, and I have 8 mosquito bites on my neck right now.
Right. So at the time of recording, it's September
Oh, yeah,
11th.
fair enough.
And yeah.
Excuse me, Harry. Today is September 11th, and you seem to have forgotten.
What a beautiful introduction. Tonight, Jen and I are ruining the night of Mandy Goldman. Talk to us, Mandy.
Hello. This is me, Mandy Goldman. I am a voice teacher and a singer-songwriter and sometimes a calligrapher and, a choir director, I guess now.
Oh, yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. And I am feeling bewitched, bothered, and bewildered because I forgot my notes at home. They were in a beautiful pink notebook, and I'm furious, absolutely furious with myself.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Mandy, what's your experience with the horror genre?
So, my husband, Sam, and I have a yearly tradition called Hitchcocktoberfest, where for the entire month of October, it used to be the entire month of October, though now it has been creeping further and further into September. We watch horror movies or spoopy movies.
That's with a P, right? Spoopy.
Spoopy. Yeah, they can either be actual capital H horror movies, or they can be like a spoopy, such as like The Witches of Eastwick,
Oh,
or
okay, sure. Yeah.
Hocus Pocus, or Bed Knobs and Broomstick.
Okay,
I forget the name of that.
Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Bed Knobs
Yeah,
and Broomsticks with
yeah,
Angela Lansbury.
Right.
Yes.
Feels like we're veering further and further.
Way from horror, yeah.
Well, it's a Halloween movie.
The
I don't know.
Lion King.
There's
If it's a
death in it.
movie. No, it started out with us watching Hitchcock movies because we felt like we had a gap in our movie knowledge, and we wanted to get more experience with horror as a genre. So we started out watching Hitchcock movies that we thought we hadn't seen, or that we hadn't seen, or one of us hadn't seen. And then it just kind of flowered into this whole thing. So now we're obsessed with horror movies, and we like to watch them all the time.
Nice. Can I ask what's on the list for this year? What are you doing?
Okay, so let me get my phone. We're going to edit this part out. I didn't forget my... I'm sorry. Just let me... Hold on one second.
Mandy Goldman reaches into a bag,
It's
ruffles around. It's a large bag, a deep bag.
It's so deep.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Wow, deep is not
Well
one
done.
that I have heard used often. Okay, so this year we've got The Harbinger, The 39 Steps, that's 1935. Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
Oh, I love that movie.
which I have not seen yet.
What?
I have not seen it. Yeah, there's always big gaps. Good Night, Mommy.
Oh, I love that. Wait, Austrian version or the remake?
Ooh.
I would assume we're going to go with the original first, because that's usually what we do.
Cool.
Good night, mommy.
We're doing they/them or they them. We might do Smile.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Blair Witch Project, because I still haven't seen that.
What?
Emily the Criminal, Barbarian.
Oh, that one's good.
If I can get Sam to watch Hereditary, because we are
man.
not
You're not
Ari
fans of
Aster's
that guy.
fans.
I know.
Yes.
That's one of our main differences as friends, I think.
I think probably, yeah,
Yeah.
that and the fact that you have issues with Grapes of Wrath characters, and I'll never forgive you.
That's true, yeah. That is true.
Because you're a fool.
That's kind of really it, though. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
the sum total of our differences.
Yeah,
really.
is that you're an idiot.
Well, here we are, talking about a movie.
Yeah.
And that movie is
Talk to Me.
Thank you. I have this problem where every time I go to say the thing that we're here to talk about, I suddenly blank. I can't think
I
of
could
the
totally
movie.
tell that you forgot.
And it happened to me last time too.
I forgot too. Also, right before you said it, I was like, "Oh no, what are
should've
we
brought your
talking
notes.
about? This all could have been fixed if I brought my notes.
Oh my god!
Damn it!"
So who wants to basically just give a quick one sentence synopsis of like what this movie is about, just for anybody, some fool who hasn't seen it yet?
I think the guests should do it because
Yeah.
we usually have the guests do
man,
it.
you do it.
I would love to summarize this film in one sentence.
It can be compound. It can be complex.
A group of teens come into possession of a mummified hand, and various possessions ensue. Ellipsis.
That's good.
Yeah, that is
that's
good.
really
That
good.
is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very accurate. For
That
sure.
is.
Yes.
That's also really nice description because there's no spoilers, and there will
didn't
be
wanna-
all
yeah.
the spoilers in this podcast, but that did not have them.
Sorry, I apologize for that waveform that I just created.
I look forward to editing that later. Something that struck me, first of all, just as like a refreshing thing about this movie is that, so we've talked about in previous episodes how I feel like we're very tired of a lot of like the different kinds of horror movies. We did like a possession movie, and we're talking about how tired possession movies are.
Yeah.
We did. And I feel like I haven't seen like a good seance movie
Yeah.
in a long
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And I thought that was really cool.
I was thinking about that when I was writing my amazing notes about how this is like such a great use of that collective supernatural teen game trope
Totally.
of like the Ouija board or the seance
Yes.
or like the girls at the sleepover who are doing like the light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really reminded me of like a Ouija board type situation, like that
Yes.
kind of thing. But it's a different object that they're using.
Right. It's more hardcore. It's
It
obviously
was.
way more
Yeah.
hardcore than that.
It is because, and I don't want to get too analytical right away, but
No,
like
let's
we're
just jump
dealing
in.
with some 21st century kids, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
a Ouija board's not going to do it for them. They need a real thrill.
They need a thrill.
Yeah.
Because this is also like very much like I think it says a little bit more than just like drugs are bad, okay? But like
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
it's also like a little bit of like a it's clearly like a drug high for
Oh,
them. That's
100%. Yeah.
That is something that I heard the directors talk about, is that they really did want to make sure that those possessions felt like they could possibly be euphoric or thrilling. Because if they were so horrible, why would kids want
Why
to
would
do
we
that
do it?
again?
Yeah.
Over and over?
Like it's
Yeah.
actually like pleasurable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Mia, right? That's
that's the lead. Yep.
character. She talks about them being so euphoric right away.
Right.
Yeah.
She gets super hooked on it.
She wants to do it
immediately.
like immediately a
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I didn't take great notes, but I took notes on the drug metaphor thing,
Right.
which I don't actually normally like in horror movies. This one didn't bother me as much.
Because
It
I
did-
think there's more to it than that. but,
yeah, it felt a little like, obvious. But
Yeah.
other than that, I wrote down that the mom is constantly commenting on Mia using weed.
Right.
In the beginning, the two boys are like smoking cigarettes, or like the one is, and he like asks the other one if he wants to do it,
Right.
and
In
he
the,
says
intro.
no. Yeah, so I feel like there's like multiple little instances in the beginning to like.
Yeah, when Riley and his skateboarding friend.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then he's the one who gets it like the worst, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really interesting point. And I do think that they set up that immediate like drugs are bad.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like the immediate expectation when the hand shows up and they're like taking videos of each other being strung out
Yeah.
and
Right,
stuff.
right.
But then they immediately just like make it so much more complex than that. I loved it.
Because I do feel like there's like a bullying theme too
There's-
that kind of
yeah.
like goes with the like pressuring of doing drugs in a way, but like, yeah.
The first note that I took was a classic tale of the teenage urge to party. Like I
Yeah.
think is like a total like trope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually, the first like kind of like thing that like pinged my like analytical brain was the like cell phones in this movie, and like how like really the first thing that happens in this movie before we meet Mia or anything is we see that like party
Yes.
in Australia. Which first of all, Australia seems really fucking different to you guys. Like,
Yeah.
you know, she
Down under.
There's like this rager party with like the mom in the kitchen like
I know, I was
chopping
like, I like that
vegetables.
the mom is like cooking for this.
Yeah.
Chopping veg, making a chili or who knows
Yeah.
what.
She was making a chili.
Mia hits a wallaby.
That's how you feed a crowd.
Like Jesus.
Yeah. I think that was a kangaroo.
No, it was a wallaby. It was a kangaroo.
It was a roo.
It was a roo.
I believe they said it was a roo.
Oh, this is the more you drink, the better that accent's going to get. I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, we
That's
should
the
get that.
law of science.
But yeah, so I was interested in like the cell phones. Like it became like it was like a real immediate like antagonistic force in the beginning when the kid's older brother tries to go and like rescue him out of that house, and they like I'm struggling to remember the exact order of events here. But they kind of pull him out of the room, and everybody's just like filming
Yes.
immediately, and he's like screaming at them to put their phones away and like what's
Yeah.
wrong with you, and then he of course gets stabbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Yeah. Yeah, it really establishes right away that sort of the base level for amusement for these teens in this
Right.
movie is like really horrifying.
Right.
I think their tolerance level for that kind of stuff is so high.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen Euphoria, but like, is that a thing now that these Gen Z?
Oh, I've never seen that
like
either.
These shows where in media where we're fictionalizing Gen Z, like
Right.
that they get into some shocking shit.
It might be, and that would be consistent with what I would expect media to do with like the young up and coming generation.
I also think it's worth pointing out now that I've seen the directors, they are both young people
Oh.
who they're brothers, Danny and Michael Filippo, and they were YouTubers.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's interesting.
Before they did this feature film. I think that they were talking about their like limited film experience, and they were like basically forcing their way onto sets. And one of the sets that they forced their way onto was the Babadook.
Oh,
that's
As like
interesting.
PAing and driving and shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I wonder if like they have a lot of experience with that kind of shock and awe media, it seems like. I don't know much about their YouTube channel, but they talked about doing some like crazy shit with like gore and makeup and
Was it like
stunts.
Do you know
and
if it's the
stuff.
kind of YouTube channel where they're like making short films, or were they like just kind of, you know, like some people it's just like talking at
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
was
probably
wondering
be
that.
talking out my ass about this because I haven't actually seen anything. I've just seen some like interviews with them.
Yeah.
There's a long interview with them at South by Southwest where they talk about it a lot. But it sounds like they were really making kind of like short, arty
Oh, cool.
YouTube
Yeah, that's cool.
films.
Okay.
But that may be entirely misinformation based on conjecture. So
That's kind of interesting because it's like their phones in the movie are kind of like making little films
Yeah.
of each other. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like cyberbullying. That's
Yeah.
how
A
I
bit,
saw
yeah.
it. I mean, I think especially the first scene is really cyberbullying.
oh, is there so much cyberbullying?
And like
in
they
the
hate
movie?
the girl.
They're all like Snapchatting these videos
Oh,
of
yeah,
each other
yeah.
to all their friends to like laugh at how they reacted to the hand.
Yeah. Those feel consensual to me. I
They
don't
do.
know. Yeah.
I don't think that it has to be non-consensual for it to be bullying.
I agree.
You know?
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Because peer pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. You want to fit in, so.
But I also think like yeah, exactly. You want to fit in. The phone thing also, I saw it as like a way that these kids could like remove themselves from how horrible whatever was going on in front of them actually was. If you put a screen up in front of you, it's like it gives you another
like it's
Another
step
layer,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. It's like it's real, but it's suddenly not because
Yeah.
and they're probably watching the screen.
You're literally like
As
losing a
opposed to the
dimension.
person, yeah.
Yeah, you go to 2D instead of 3D
Yeah, sure.
on your
That's
phone.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, kind of along the lines of the sort of like desensitization, like thinking about that, like another comment that I wrote down was like, what's it say about the world that being possessed by a demon, by like a literal actual other person, is like a cheap thrill for these kids, right? Like, is that like, are we making like? Again, I guess I was wondering about the commentary about Gen Z. Like, are we talking about? Like, what's it say about the world? Like, for me, I think that comment was about, not necessarily about, like, critical of Gen Z, but critical of the world that Gen Z has to
Yeah.
exist in.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I agree.
Which is, like, very dead and cold, and increasingly, like, dead and cold, like, literally.
Yeah.
I
know.
think
Yeah.
the word that I used a lot in my Sterling special notes was I use the words isolating and alienating a lot.
Yeah.
Because I do think that this movie came from such a place of like isolation and yearning for connection, and that there's so much. In looking at these children's motivations for this, it was just like the common thread for me was like that begging for connection, which in a world post-COVID, after
Yeah.
you've literally been physically isolated from your friends, and we were already pre-COVID living sort of more alienated than we ever have from
Yeah.
collectivity and
Yeah.
being around neighbors and having that true sense of community. So I did feel like this was like a product of the alienation that all those
Sure.
kids had suffered.
And I think we see that also, like in some of the like main characters as well, right? Like Mia is like really lonely for her mom and alienated from her father, and you know, I saw a lot of what happens to her as like that tension playing out.
Her
basically,
friend
to the
is
logical
dating
conclusion.
the boy that she's clearly really into.
Right.
That's true.
And her friend is, while dating this boy that Mia is into, Jade is the friend. Jade is dating Daniel, who Mia is into.
Mia actually dated him briefly.
Mia dated him
Yeah.
briefly,
Yeah.
which we know, like in high school, those brief romances are so monumental, and especially for someone who's lost a member of their family.
Right.
And it seems like she might be an only child, so it's like pretty
I think so.
significant.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's getting she's alienated from her mom. Her mom's dead. She and her dad clearly have a lot of weirdness because they're not being open about
Like, what
how her
happened?
mom
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
And then her friend Jade is dating this boy that she was really into, and is like not interested in hanging out with her because she's only interested in hanging out with the boy.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
And she's
'Cause
like,
they-
leave
yeah.
me alone.
They show that on the bed, which I think
Yeah.
I felt some. Okay, it's been a while since I've seen it, and my notes are shit. But I think I remember feeling some sympathy for Mia, but I don't
Oh,
think I
yeah.
felt a lot of sympathy for a lot of the other kids
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think I saw them, like her friend, as kind of like being mean and bullying her. And I think just because I was bullied a lot as
Mm-hmm.
a kid, I was just like, oh, these are little assholes. But what like Gen Z has to deal with now is like being filmed with all of this. And like, even if you're like, yeah, I'll do the thing, and then you're filmed and you look like crazy on film, or like, yeah, I don't know. I just,
There's
it was,
so many like layers of performative
Yes.
stuff for them.
yeah.
And I love that you brought up feeling sympathy for Mia, because I feel like at the beginning of the movie we're just like crowded with all of this information that makes us feel
Yes.
really bad for her, like pity her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I do. It does seem like she's getting bullied because they're all talking about how annoying she is at the gathering.
Yeah.
At the hand gathering. I don't know if you were
I
getting
like the hand
would you call it?
gathering.
at the holding of hands, a group hand holding. Yeah. I totally. And the only person who will hang out with her is her friend's little brother.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
what a loser. You know? But we are like, oh, how sad for her because her mom died. And these other kids are such assholes. Oops. Swearing?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Swear. Whoops. Yeah, and then the whole movie after that makes us like question all of those assumptions that we had at the beginning of the film about Mia and the other kids.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that the other kids are pretty resoundly. I don't know. I don't have a ton of sympathy for them. Even
I do.
Even when Mia, like, crosses a line and what's her friend's name? Her girlfriend.
Jade.
Sleeps with Jade's boyfriend and has the
Oh,
weird
yeah.
toe sucking incident,
The toe sucking.
which you know.
We all get We all
Listen,
dissociate and suck our
we've all been
boyfriends'
there.
friends'
Listen,
boyfriends' toes.
We've all been there.
Oh, let's
We've all
hear
put
that
a-
But
story.
even through that, I didn't really because she is just so. I feel that she's so abused in the beginning of the movie, and
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a lot of the evidence for that. Like
Mia being abused in the beginning of the movie?
Mia being abused in the beginning of the film.
Wait, you mean by her friends
By her
and
friends.
stuff?
By
like-
her friends, I don't know if there's a ton of evidence for that.
Wait, that Mia's?
That Mia is abused by her friends.
I totally don't think
and
that
where is she abused by her friends?
Well, when she jumps on the bed and she's like trying to get her friend's attention, and Jade, I guess, is like being.
and Jade is trying to set a boundary, and she's like,
I
"Get
don't
out of
see
here! I'm
that.
trying to talk to my boyfriend."
I don't see that as setting boundaries at
know.
all.
I see it as.
I do
This
not.
friend is so needy. This
No.
friend is so desperate for attention, and they basically have been living together. It seems like, and Mia won't give her a minute to just talk to her
Well,
boyfriend.
I think the friend could have responded a different way
I think
because
she
it comes
definitely could have
across
been
as
more
like a mean
compassionate.
girl
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely, I think it does come across as a mean girl thing. But then I think we get all this more evidence about the way. So they also say at the party, that she's really annoying. But I'm trying to think of other instances in which we know that Mia is being treated unfairly by her friends. Has she done? Are we just assuming she's done nothing to deserve this treatment?
I just assumed it was. Oh, wait, you
no.
Yeah,
go
no.
ahead.
I was
Go ahead.
just assumed it was because like, oh, she's, her mom died.
Maybe she's a little outcast. I think because she's weird. I do think.
Well, yeah, she's weird, and she. I feel like she's been. I hear what you're saying, but I do think that the ways in which she has alienated herself from her friends are largely the product of the brutal hand that she's been dealt, and the fact that they continue to alienate her is a lack of compassion on the part of the other kids.
So you think that they're encouraging her to do the hand because they are trying to specifically
they're
bully
trying
her.
Yeah, they're trying to
But then why would all of them be doing it too and filming each other doing it? They're all filming each other doing it. It doesn't seem like they're being any meaner to her than they are to each other.
I mean, I guess I don't know, but
I think that there's also a lot of subtext to who these other people in the room are. Because we've got a Pacific Islander,
yeah, right.
a kid of Pacific Islander descent, a non-binary kid who also might be of Pacific
Who
Islander
knows? Yeah,
descent.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on with Jade and Riley's dad. There's no dad that we've
Right,
seen.
That's true. Yeah.
And I want to talk about her mom. later, but-
They seem to have a weird relationship with Éowyn, their mom. That's Lena Olin, played Éowyn in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that we are immediately supposed to assume that Mia is blameless
Sure.
in her struggle. But then I think we start to see a lot of evidence that she is actually really breaking boundaries with people around her.
Okay.
And pushing people really hard
Yeah.
in ways that make them really uncomfortable.
Like what?
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Like when she gets in bed with Riley, Jade's 12-year-old brother, lets him sleep in bed with her.
Okay.
When she won't listen to Jade, when Jade is telling her to leave her alone at the beginning of the film.
Can I'm gonna risk something here.
No, yeah.
Can I ask why allowing Riley to sleep with her is?
That's not her brother.
But doesn't she fill like a sisterly role in the family?
Sure,
I
but
mean,
that's not her. But she's not. That's not her brother.
But she just
and
is
her.
laying.
But Riley
She's
also.
a surrogate sister, but that's not the same thing. That's a like nuclear. That's like a family of opportunity, not a family of like. I think
But
I
don't you feel like there is like a chosen family type thing
I
too?
absolutely. I absolutely feel that that's the case, but I feel that she only lets Riley into the bed because of her desperation for connection. She's desperate to connect with Jade. Jade won't connect with her, so she connects with Riley instead. In this way that's really, really intimate to be connecting with your like friend's 12-year-old brother, I think.
I'm not sure I saw that.
Yeah, I
but-
didn't see that
but-
either.
I mean,
also
sure. I'm
think
willing to
that-
entertain it.
And
Go
I
ahead.
think that like, and then she's like the first one. She volunteers herself for this experience with the hand.
Yep.
Then she pushes Riley to use the hand for
That's
she
true.
Yeah.
directly negates. Jade says no. She says you can do it and tells him to do it for longer.
Yep.
And that's all in like the first 20 minutes of the film.
It's
Yeah.
so funny. The part though where Riley is the 12-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, little boy.
When he wants to do the hand thing and he's like, "Oh, please just let me do it." Blah blah blah. He keeps like begging to like hold the hand. And his sister Jade says no, but then leaves the room. I see Mia as almost like a teen who's become addicted to drugs. And so
Yeah.
the most important thing to her is the drugs, but it's not who she would normally be as a person. Like the drugs changed her. So while she cares about Riley, I see her as being like, yeah, do this really cool thing. Oh my God, it's so euphoric for me. I want you to see this thing. But it's like a drug addict who can't think straight. Like
Right.
I don't feel sympathy for her for doing that, but I also don't fully blame her either because she's become addicted to this thing and she's not the same person anymore.
Yeah, I wonder when like you consider like her addiction to start because
That's a good question.
Because that's like, yeah, I see her as like, and maybe I've seen the film. I've only seen the film once, obviously, but I definitely saw her as like starting to make these like deliberate choices where she felt like making someone else not nervous about making other people uncomfortable, like not nervous about making Jade uncomfortable, not nervous about any boundaries with this kid. I like. If we throw out them sleeping in the same bed thing,
Right.
because like I do believe that was fully chaste and everything, but I also think it's like the sister is like no, but the friend is like yeah, come sleep in bed with me. It's just I don't know. It's like a
You mean it feels like it's not necessarily sexual, but it is
No,
about
not
like,
sexual.
It's about like getting a hook.
it's an
into this
intimacy.
family.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
It's a
replacing the
forced
sister.
intimacy, forced intimacy that she keeps like forcing an intimate connection on the sister who is rejecting her,
Right,
on
right.
Jade who is rejecting her, And if she can't get her hooks in to Jade, she's going to get her hooks into Riley.
Gotcha.
And that's really how it feels. And she's like, oh, well, I can use this really great high value
Right.
reward of the
Sure.
hand
Yeah.
to get my hooks in
Oh, well, now I really like that reading.
Riley. I really do think she's forcing intimacy with everyone around her
Gotcha.
except for her father, who's like the only person who's like, can I please connect with you?
That's
and she's
true.
like,
She doesn't
no.
want to.
Yeah, except that he's also unwilling to connect with her in the way that she needs to,
Yeah.
right? Like, until it all comes to a head, and he finally agrees to
With
admit
being honest
that
about
her mom committed
absolutely,
suicide. He's like
absolutely.
unwilling to really do it on the terms that she needs to.
Yeah.
Which is, I think,
Yeah.
what drives her into that. I think it's like it's a massive driving force for everything that happens with
Yeah,
me in the whole
it's like
movie,
Absolutely.
your
honestly.
mother dies, your father's pulling away, like so you like try to like get some. 'cause
Yeah, and that's a good
how
example
old is
of
she?
like,
She's like 6,
yeah, she's got to be, it's high school.
Yeah.
For sure.
17, something
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
older than
She
Riley.
can drive, which I don't know how old you have to be to drive in Australia.
That's a good point.
They drive on the wrong side of the car. Side.
Soy.
But I was also, the dad also, like, she doesn't get any, we're seeing his examples of trying to connect with her without connecting with her with any integrity at all, like
Yeah.
communicating with her with the
Right.
integrity. So I wonder if maybe that's what we're to know as her example of how to communicate with people, is like, your intentions need to be like blanketed
Like
or
obscured. And,
obscured.
Yeah, maybe. That
Speaking
makes
of
sense.
obscured,
Mm-hmm.
every shot of the dad until
Yes.
it was
Oh,
like so
that's
true,
obscured
yeah.
or seen from such a crazy
Yes.
perspective. It was fantastic.
I
Yeah.
loved it. I mean,
Loved
it
it.
says so much right away, right? You can just read so much right into something.
You're just
Yes.
you see so much in this movie, just so much from Mia's perspective, and it's really, I think that that's part of the reason that they put in all these, like, to me, clues that we're getting this unreliable narrator, and then we get this overt evidence later in the film. It escalates, and we're quite sure that she is not, that her perspective is completely skewed.
Right.
But I think it's skewed from the beginning of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe grief could be
Grief.
skewing
I
it.
think trauma is a great unresolved trauma, as if there's any such thing as resolved trauma, but different conversation. But like, that could absolutely be a way thing that skews your perspective completely, and like your father being dishonest to you about your mother's suicide. Of course, your perspective might be skewed, and you might be desperate for some kind of true relationship with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen, what were some interesting visual things you saw in this movie?
So I think the first scene was like the thing that really, okay, the cinematography was great. I really liked it. But the first scene, just the way it's shot and like the way it's shot with him going to the room, like grabbing the person and when like, I forget, is it his brother? His little brother?
Yeah.
Okay. There's like cuts and scratches all over the brother's back. We never learn. We don't need to know what it was, but you know something's off. I forget what he says, but it's something like cryptic.
Right,
and
yeah.
like gets him out of the room. And then just the way it's shot, like it's such an interesting shot to have, like you can see the door like with the clear glass out into the pool, and like you can see kids with their phones outside and inside.
It's a huge
It's
rager.
a
It's like a
huge-
Yeah.
rager on the
Yeah.
order that I never saw
I
in
never
high school,
know.
honestly. Yeah.
It felt like every fucking kid in Australia was at this like party.
It was like it was like
Every kid
Every
in
kid.
Australia.
they don't have a lot of them.
Think
there.
about that,
There's
okay?
not that many. No.
It's
Think
mostly
about the barbecues.
it's mostly the Barbies,
The Think about how
Barbie.
much shrimp were consumed.
shrimp on the
Oh
Barbie.
my god.
Yeah, it's a huge, the like scope of
Yeah.
the scene is wild because the camera is so close behind the brother
Yes,
for
it-
that first.
Yeah.
Mhm. It feels so
Is it
close
like a
and
big
so far
tracking
away.
shot? It's like one
That's
big
what
tracking
I-
shot,
that's
right?
what I
Yeah.
remember.
Must be. Yeah.
I love those, man.
But just like the timing of when he stabs the brother, goes outside, stabs himself in the face.
Right.
I was like, there's no time for you to think.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no time for you to like like you gasp with the first part, and then you're like, holy shit! I've seen a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone stab themselves in the face that hard and that fast with
In
a
the
knife.
first- yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. I was like, did they blow their load? Like
Oh,
in the
yeah.
beginning? Like,
Oh.
I kind of
No.
feel like they did.
Yeah, I
I think they did. Really?
Yes,
Oh, you didn't like
because
the rest of
I
it?
liked the movie a lot, but I partially am a little tired of the drug metaphor type thing.
Oh,
I don't
see.
always love it with horror movies. It feels a little preachy sometimes. It's fine.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. I like the hand as opposed to the Ouija board, but I feel like the drug metaphor thing, it's like, okay, we get it, but what are you going to do with this? And I don't know
Yeah.
if anything was done that was interesting.
See, yeah, I saw the drug thing as like the facade that these kids were like. They were like, oh yeah, it's like a drug. That's why we're doing it. But what they really, really wanted was connection.
Right.
I like that reading.
And
I
that's
like
like-
that.
yeah,
Well,
that's-
and I think that's what now I'm overgeneralizing here, but like I think that's a huge part of what all drug addiction kind of is, right? Like
Or escape, yeah.
or
Yeah,
escaping,
yeah.
but ultimately satisfying like a lack of connection that maybe didn't happen early on or like isn't happening now, right? But like I mean I think that's also it's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what being occupied by another spirit is about too, right? Like
And
Oh,
I will,
that's interesting.
I will say that I formed this. Sam and I were very obsessed with this movie the minute that we watched it. I loved it. I
Yeah.
thought it's one of. I would give it an A, like a solid A.
We'll get to
Oh,
that.
we're
Um,
definitely.
yeah.
We'll,
Oh, okay.
we'll be
I'm so
rating.
sorry.
We'll get to that.
Scratch that from the record, please. One of the directors did say this movie is about connections,
Oh,
true
okay.
ones and false ones.
Right on.
And it was just kind of like Sam and I had both picked up on these themes of alienation, isolation, and desperation for connection in the movie. So hearing that was like exciting, but also, but beyond the intention of the director, I just think like the character Mia is just the yearning and yearning and yearning that she is showing for her mother, for her dead mother. I'm like, this is a kid who desperately wants to like be held and loved. Because that's like, moms are like that symbol of your unconditional, that's that person who's gonna love you. And she has a nickname for her, me, and like the intimacy that she just like does not have. And that she gets so hooked, not because of like the experience of euphoria, but the experience of connecting with her mom is really what
Because once
gets
she
her.
sees her mom, it's
Yeah.
like she takes the
She,
hand.
that's when she sees
Yeah.
her mom is when she lets Riley
That's true.
tear his own fucking eyeball out.
Oh my god,
so
that
brutal.
scene was another scene where I was like, "What is happening? Holy shit!"
I want that to be my what the fuck moment, but it's not, and we'll get to what the fuck moments later.
There was a guy in the theater when we saw it, and he went, "Oh no!" And he went, "Oh, she fucked up. She fucked up," because he was talking about like how she like let it go on too long.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Other
It
people-
was bless that
My
man
God.
in the
Other people in the
theater.
theater, especially in scary movies, sometimes it's the best.
That's
Thank
amazing.
God, it was Sam. Sam was like, "I don't know if I would have made it without the guy."
That's a great response too. Oh my.
Oh no!
I wanted to actually, maybe can we talk a little bit about Mia and her mom? There's a lot of equating, not maybe that's the wrong word. We see Mia like standing in her mom's place in a lot of stuff, especially in like the movie's dream sequences. There's like bits where like because one of the more traumatic moments as the mom is overdosing, she's like scratching at the door,
Right.
and her nails come off.
Yes.
And there's a moment during a dream sequence where Mia's nails are also
Are you
off.
referring to a dream sequence? Like, do we know is like anytime she's like
In a dream sequence?
dissociating?
No, there's one
Or when
moment
she's, like, actually
when
asleep.
she's literally
She's
asleep
literally
and having
asleep.
dreams. It happens 2 or 3 times in the whole
Right,
movie.
and she talks about like I know she talks about that one in the beginning too.
Yeah. And I just wondered what y'all's read was on that detail. I mean, I my immediate go-to is like thinking about someone who has committed suicide or attempted to suicide and is scratching at the door, trying to, like get out of it, like get help, rectify the situation. I can't help but read sort of what Mia's experiencing as like a really slow motion version of that, you know?
Ooh,
and,
that I like that.
Yeah,
I like that
like,
too.
I don't know. Anybody think anything else of that, or
I think that
Just me?
I love that interpretation because it does feel like she's like engaging in all of this like very purposeful self-destructive behavior in the film, and like it like not just with the hand, but like after the hand when she like invites Daniel over,
Right.
and like she's like getting. It seems like she continues to just like she knows how horrible the hand is, and she just can't stop going
right?
for it.
She like steals the hand.
And it
it's,
does
like, in her
feel
backpack for a while.
suicidal. It
Yeah,
feels like
yeah.
it feels like suicidal ideation a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
I think that
true.
I because I saw this movie by myself, so I would just
Oh,
be
boy.
talking to myself at this point, where I was just like, up, bad decisions, bad
Yeah.
decisions.
No, it feels like, yeah, like when you're like so down and you're so low that like you're like, fuck it, like I'll just do this drug, I'll
Yeah,
drink
I'll just
this
go
drink,
down.
like, yeah,
You
yeah.
go, you just what is it? When you make the decision to like
Hit rock bottom.
hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it's called. I don't know. There's some like cute phrase for it.
There's a
not
phrase for
cute.
I like that there's a cute phrase.
I don't cute.
It's called
What
going
else?
squishy wishy.
When you go all squishy wishy with your wants and desires.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. No, I really like that read about Mia being like Mia driving herself like slowly to suicide.
Yeah, to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a thing that interested me.
Yeah, she's so self-destructive.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
definitely taking the hand and trying to do it by herself, knowing that like no one can wake her
Nobody's
up from
gonna
this
time
is
you.
super like self-destructive.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know if this is like something you already had laid out to talk about, but how the spirits themselves seem to have agendas.
Ooh, I do want to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not sure they do, but continue.
Yeah, I think that they do. I think that there are certain kinds of spirits who are drawn to the hand, and they are the kind of spirits who really want to manipulate other people. And I think Mia really likes manipulating other people.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. Can
Yeah.
I table this for one
Yeah,
second? Because I have
please.
one follow-up question about
Oh, yeah.
Mia's self-destruction, and then I want to explore
Yeah,
this really
absolutely.
bad. Do we think she threw herself in front of the car at the end, or did her friend push her in front of the car in the end?
I think she threw herself.
I think she threw herself too.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, you think Jade might have done it?
I think she did. There's an extra who has this like very small but like very it really stuck out to me line after the car crash. It was just like, "Did you see what happened?" It was like asking us to question what exactly happened there. You know,
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
and like I think Mia's true path of self-destruction would have been to murder Jade's younger brother.
that seemed like
Yeah.
what she wanted to do.
right.
Yeah.
I think it would have been the easier thing for her to
Yeah.
do. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except that she has to then make good on killing the kangaroo in the beginning,
Right.
which she can't do. So I don't know.
I think that totally could have happened that way. And who would blame Jade, to be honest?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't at that point.
You gotta.
But is Jade a killer? Would she actually do it? I mean, she was kind of, I think bullying her friend in the beginning.
I do think Jade is an asshole. Like, just
But-
to be clear, I
But
think
would
she's
she
a dickhead.
actually push her, or would she try to save her brother? Like, pushing her doesn't mean that her brother's saved.
I think at the point after everything Jade has, putting myself in those shoes, after everything Jade has been through with Mia, all the like on again, off again trust, the sudden realization that she's really unwell, and the like
Hurting her brother.
Yeah, the like
Yeah.
really visceral reaction to maybe her brother
And
getting
stealing
murdered.
her brother from the hospital.
I can imagine
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah,
personally.
I think that definitely, like, that definitely could be. I think that's a totally legit read on what happened, and like, just as much a suicide as
Right.
her throwing herself into the
Yeah.
street was stealing Riley to begin with.
Right.
She was like damned from the beginning.
Right.
She was damned anyway, I feel like, at that point, and she was just trying to, like, damn herself instead of Riley, that she thought she was saving him. Yeah.
But I think this is that question is what makes this movie next level for me.
Yeah.
Which is just that, like, not only the question of what did happen, which is fun, but, like, which is more thematically significant, right? Like, her throwing herself out there, like, what does that represent for her and her arc versus her friend pushing her out there? And what would that represent? Because it would imply that she meant to go through with it.
Oh, that's true. And that she wasn't able to.
Right.
Right. Well, that's interesting because I'm trying to remember now what her logic was on what would happen to her after killing Riley. Would she have been freed by that? Or was she just doing that as an act of, like, selflessness Riley?
She thinks that Riley is in, like a torturous
Yeah, she thinks he's being eaten slowly by angry spirits.
And she thinks the only way to relieve him is by killing him.
Yeah. And what would that mean for her other than saving him? Is that selfless for her?
You know, that...
I don't know. That's a good question, actually.
It is a good question. And I feel like the first half of the movie, first 3/4 of the movie was better than the ending because it does. I like questions. I like questions.
I loved the ending.
I love the ending.
But I feel like things got muddy. Is it like what?
Ambiguous.
Yeah, but I like ambiguous, but I feel like this was a movie that lended itself to like you trying to figure things out, actually. Like, it wasn't so avant-garde like a David Lynch movie. Like, it wasn't that where you're like,
it wasn't
you want ambiguity.
Skinamarink.
Yeah, it wasn't absurd in any way. So you weren't feeling like the things that you were watching, you weren't feeling that major questioning of, like, oh, did any of this even happen, or is this a dream kind of thing. It's just that we're just seeing Mia's perspective getting more and more distorted.
I don't know if I saw it as like Mia was the main character, but I don't think I saw it necessarily like we're seeing things from her eyes. Like, we're just seeing her story.
That's another tidbit from the director is that the entire basically the entire film is like Mia's perspective. But I don't think that that's as important as how we view it, right? Like, the director's intention is like a kernel.
Right.
No, I do agree. But if it is specifically from her perspective, then it makes more sense to me why some things would not be completely logic. But in the beginning, I feel like there's so much, I don't know, it's something that drives me crazy about movies where there's like so much logic in the beginning and like it feels like there's rules, and then at the end it just sort of is like, oh, now are these rules? Are these not rules?
Yeah,
what's happening?
I do think that there is like a lot of ambiguity as to the rules of the hand and the rules of the spirit possessions.
Totally.
And I do think that some of that seems to me to be like in the process of filmmaking, they had to like make some decisions about the hand rules or like leave something like I think that I wonder like how many rules the hand had originally as opposed to like how many rules we saw the hand having.
That's interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which like and I think that, you know, in the editing process, like the director or editors might see some things as as inessential to the plot that viewers would be frustrated by. And I think that hand rules were frustrating. I think also the New York Times review that I read mentioned holes in the plot.
Holes?
Plot holes.
Like plot holes?
Yeah, and which I did not observe. But I think if you're very concerned with things like, are these really vengeful spirits or are they like figments of her horrified imagination? If you're concerned with things like why does Mia kill herself? Like, what are the rules of the hand for her that make her want to do that?
You're kind of missing the point.
Yeah, I think that those are missing the point, but I do understand how that can be frustrating.
Sure. I think there are certain minds who find that more frustrating than others,
I
too.
agree.
You know?
I don't know if it's missing the point. I feel like there are certain things. If a movie is going to tell me that certain things are happening, like, I expect that to be consistent throughout the movie. If I'm going to have ambiguity in the beginning with the rules, awesome. I actually prefer that. I prefer ambiguity. But I don't think that it should be both. It shouldn't be rules and ambiguity. It should, or if you're going to have rules, have them change a lot. Have things like not always be consistent. Show me that like one kid sees something that another kid doesn't see or something. Like
Well, and so we don't know that, right? Because we see all of the possessions from Mia's perspective. We don't see any spirits that the other people saw,
that's
do we?
true. No, we don't. That is true.
No, we do.
We do?
Do we see one other one at the very beginning?
The little kid. We
You're
see what the little kid
right.
sees.
We see Riley.
We see what Riley sees.
Yeah.
I think we do.
We do.
I'm not
I thought we
100%
do.
on that,
Yeah,
but
I
think
don't.
we do.
I'm not. I don't remember that well enough to say with any certainty.
That's a great question, though.
But I do remember that I do remember the director specifically saying that we're seeing all these possessions from Mia's perspective and not seeing the spirits.
I
in
feel like
most
I
of
need to
them.
watch it again.
I know.
and,
Well,
like,
I think this is the
focus
kind of
on
movie that really merits
And I think,
another watch.
I mean, I think that is like a mark of quality in and of itself.
Yeah,
sort
I
of,
agree.
right? Where you want to watch it, not be like, and sometimes you want to watch it again just to make sure it wasn't utter trash. You know what I mean? But like in this way, where we're having this conversation and like we're trying to get to the bottom of stuff. Like I think it's
a really dense movie.
like surprisingly dense movie.
Yeah.
For what it is, which is I think like also at the same time somehow kind of like a fun popcorn flick too.
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
it really
you know,
is.
like-
Yeah.
I think it really is like a popcorn possession flick.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
some very interesting commentary about loneliness.
Yeah.
And grief.
You know what this movie, like, the whole time I was watching it really smacked of for me was It Follows.
Yes.
I thought of It
Yeah.
Follows too. Because
Though I
there's
don't
a,
think it was quite as broad and moralistic as It Follows, which I know I loved It Follows. And
I liked
know
It
a lot of
Follows too,
people
yeah.
don't because they felt it was too moralistic.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that there were nuances in that film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And because I forgot about this because I was reading the Wikipedia page earlier because I was like, shit, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. God, I forget who says it in the film, but basically like the entities, the spirits can like
In It Follows or in
Talk to me.
talk to me.
Okay, sorry,
I almost
sorry.
forgot the
This movie, Harry, what is it called?
The movie that we're talking about.
talk to me.
The Little Mermaid.
But they say that the spirits can like mimic people
Yes.
which is a thing in It Follows.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
they can
right.
mimic
Yeah,
people
that is
you
true.
know.
I think that these are vengeful spirits who appear in ways that they know will be advantageous to them in manipulating you.
Yeah.
I think
think
these
that
are
makes sense.
vengeful,
Yeah.
manipulative spirits.
That is fun.
Who will take the form of whatever is going to be most.
Like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like that drowned lady that Mia saw at first.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Was like the first form of the spirit, and then once the spirit was let in, it knew how to take advantage of her.
Got you. Interesting.
yeah, and then it
That's-
became her mom because yeah,
And it
I
became her
agree.
mom because it was like, this is the best way to manipulate her.
Nice.
And then at that moment when it had to be her dad to manipulate her into being afraid, so she would
Right.
murder her real dad.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that those spirits are like, that the spirits who want to play this hand game are restless and vengeful.
That's
And
interesting.
that Mia ends up becoming one of them
Yeah.
because she's restless and vengeful.
I had a really satisfying moment of what I thought was like a really nice like parallelism in the movie, or not a parallelism, but a maybe like a just a oh my god, language, help me out here.
Parallelism.
No, when something is equal, the same on both sides, and you can fold it over. What's it called? Come on, guys.
Folded
Come on.
piece
It's the same on both sides.
A
and you-
shape that's the same on both sides. You can fold it on top of itself. It is,
I have no idea.
guys,
you have
geometry.
Text
Help me out here.
Julia.
Fuck. Hang on.
Yeah,
Okay.
geometry shapes.
Anyway,
It's
I
a
found it-
tesseract, a tessellation,
fuck you guys.
and fuck you right back.
I
You and
deserve
I,
that.
you have a master's in English.
You're right. I should know this word,
Yeah.
and I do.
You teach children. You should know this.
I found a really satisfying, just like narrative thing in the fact that like the movie kind of starts with these like crazy teenagers just like getting spirit high in the beginning, and then I loved like at the end I just got this sense that these were these spirits. Like on the other end too, like on the spirit end, it's kind of the same thing.
Yes,
right.
the spirits were getting their jollies too.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
and what that was satisfying to me because the whole time throughout the entire movie, I was like, like what are the spirits getting out of this?
What
Like
do they
I don't.
want?
What is their
Yeah.
object
It seemed like
here?
it was
what
like
do they want?
they're bored and like this is
It's 'cause
fun
they're
for
bored
them.
and they're
Which
fucking with people.
I think they want
I
connection.
loved
And I thought that's so
too.
fun.
I loved that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they're fucking with people. I think that they're bad, desperate spirits, but I think that they want connection too. At the end of the movie, she's alone in a dark hallway.
Yeah.
Walking toward the light.
Yeah.
And that's the light for her because she was a bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I have to say, I know I didn't love the ending. I loved that part.
That's
I
great.
loved that. I thought that was
Yeah.
great.
I love that circular, that
Yeah.
Yes.
feeling that you're that it's all spiral.
it all came back
thing,
around.
yeah.
Like it was like a perfect ending. And like, yeah, I thought that I really liked that. And I kind of like that the spirits, we don't know how she's going to approach it, but like that they
Symmetry.
are having fun in a way. Symmetry.
Oh, wow. You could have said, you said when both sides are the same a lot
I
of
said
times.
it's a geometric shape where both sides are the same. You can fold them on
But
top.
it could
See,
be anything that's.
My face is not.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's good.
If I draw a circle, it is not.
Symmetrical.
And I love that idea that the spirits have such similar motivations to the teenagers that we're watching.
Right.
And I feel like the movie really supports that. Like all the things that the spirits do are
Yeah.
so like
They're so outrageous.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
there's
performative.
That, there's that one like woman who inhabits the kid's body and is like making out with the dog and like
Yes,
you know
I
and
forgot
like
about
yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
So performative.
Oh my
and,
God.
yeah.
Very performative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost forgot about Daniel.
Daniel. Poor Daniel. How are we supposed to read Daniel?
Wait, Daniel, which one's Daniel?
Daniel's the boyfriend. Daniel is the boyfriend.
Oh, who makes out with the dog?
Who makes out with the
Okay.
dog
Okay.
and who gets his little
He's like-
toesies sucked.
He's gonna have some therapy sessions.
He's gonna need it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's an interesting, questionable dude.
He is.
In that, I feel like all the kids are like really questionable and also like really sad.
Yeah.
Like I feel really bad for all of them and feel really angry at all of them. in the
Yeah,
movie.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's what kids are.
Yeah. I sound like, why would you go
you
to
feel
her
bad
house?
for them and you're angry
And you're
at them.
angry at them. At the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you go to her house? Why would you not set a boundary there? You know, I guess he sort of tries and she kind of
I mean,
like
he
asks
could
him
have
again. But
said-
like he could have, yeah,
he could have
exactly.
said no.
Yeah,
Exactly,
like
yeah.
why are
Said
they
yes
sleeping
and
in
yeah.
the same bed together?
Exactly. Why
if
are you
he-
sleeping in her
Yeah.
bed? Why are you putting your toe so close to her mouth?
You know better than that, right?
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have put your toe so close to her mouth.
There's
Yeah.
a real tension there between him and his girlfriend too.
Yeah,
But I
where there's,
mean,
like-
with his toes that close, he was asking for
he was
it.
asking for it. Is what I'm saying.
Did I cross a line?
He was
that's
basically
fair.
like
That's fair.
what they didn't show you was all of the shots of him progressively like getting his toes closer to her mouth.
The part
and
where
just-
he's kind of like poking her nostril
yeah,
with his
kind of
toes
just trying to
and-
open her
yeah.
lips with the big toe.
And then he's like all shocked,
Yeah.
quotation marks.
Oh,
towards the
wow.
podcast.
How did
I
my
will say-
toes get in
I
your
will say,
mouth?
I had a weird like moment of humor to myself in the scene where he had to say in front of a group of people what had happened. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it was just like, listen, I woke up and she was sucking on my.
Yeah.
I'm in the audience, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
it's
so awkward, and
uncomfortable,
awful, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he was such a yucky little character.
He
to
was
me.
yucky. He
Yeah.
was yucky. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, and I feel like they were all kind of yucky.
They were.
Yeah.
And like we were just like we felt so bad for Mia because she actually had this like explanation for being yucky, but then she just continues to be so yucky,
Right.
and she just like really leans in.
Like Mia's really just the fortunate one for being the focal point of the narrative, and
Mia's
like any
the one
any
who-
one of them could have been. Yeah.
I feel like any one of them could have like had some kind of trauma, but we just don't know.
But could any one of them been? Only reason I say that is because Mia is the one that they're all like, oh God, she's at the party in the beginning.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets that. So like, if it was one of the other kids we focused on, we would be focusing on a bully, which
Right.
I find it very difficult to have sympathy, even if. We would have to know the trauma, but like it's a whole different movie then. So we should probably rate this
Let's
movie.
give some ratings.
Okay.
Yeah, we should get
Yeah,
there.
so the way we do
What is
ratings
the rating system?
is 1 is like the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life, and 10 is the best fucking movie you've ever seen in the entire, like, ever.
Yeah.
Ooh. Which, like, my best movie ever changes, like, every day.
That's-
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I can go first.
Yeah.
I give it an 8.5. I thought this was like it was just really solid. I love the because all I really need as a viewer is like it to be fun and to have some juicy subtext to dig into, and I thought that it had both. And you know, I was really smitten with the ending, and it's so rare for horror movies to stick the landing like that.
Oh,
So rare.
Totally agree.
so true.
Yep.
So true.
So I thought it slapped.
Yeah, I would give it a solid 9.
Nice.
I would give it a solid
Wow,
9.
all right.
Because a 10 for me, horror movie wise, is something where I feel like we've gotten every drip of nuance out of it.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe for me right now, a Rear Window, dripping with nuance. And I think that this movie was almost as dripping with nuance as like a 10. Like there was just I saw like setting up characters that you feel weirdly alienated from with screens and with them doing things that make you uncomfortable. I saw a lot of like setting up these dominoes of expectations and then like totally changing them on you, which I love. I love when they're like, we're going to do that thing that you thought was going to happen right away so we can make it more complex.
Yeah.
So like
That was cool.
she's going to run into her mom at the beginning of the movie and then we're going to totally complexify?
Complexify?
Complicate.
I like complexify.
That's the word. That's the word.
I can verb with the best of them. You were going to totally complicate all of the characters' relationships with each other and with their feelings and their surroundings.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was fantastic and just like really truly scary and exciting to watch.
Yeah.
In addition to being like, I thought a really smart movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved
Totally.
it. And it also deserves to be said that the writing was very humanistic and uncluttered and natural to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yep.
the script was excellent.
I am a tough grader.
You're hard, but the ones that you give high scores to, like it feels like sometimes we're on opposite planes. Go ahead.
I know
Go ahead.
Skinamarink got the highest score.
I know you give
So because 9 and 10s I reserve for movies that I absolutely like, love.
Yeah.
Love. Like
Yeah,
10
yeah.
is like perfect to me. 9 is like love it, but maybe not quite a 10. So I would give this a 7.5.
Okay.
I really liked it. I think it's like an awesome, solid movie. I would highly recommend it. I thought that ending, like you said, like was great. It like actually ended.
Satisfying.
It was so satisfying. And it felt like they knew what they were doing from the beginning. Like it was all going to come around. I liked the opening scene. Still was like amazing, and like I don't know if I've seen something that stuck with me in cinema recently that was that interesting and good and
totally.
shocking. Where you actually cared about like the like you didn't even know these characters
Yeah.
and you were like pulled into their story. But yeah, and I would watch it again. It's like fun. I know we said popcorn. I tend to call them like zippy, like they move along. Like there's like
I like that zippy.
good pacing.
Yeah,
So
good.
yeah, I would
Really
say
good
like a 7.5 for me.
Nice. Do we have what the fuck moments? And what the fuck moments are just moments where, like throughout the movie, it's. I mean, it makes you kind of like gag or scream or say that was excellent or that was a disaster or like what the hell is going on? Like that's what the fuck moment is.
Well, the first and most obvious one is when he tries to pull his eyeball out.
Yeah, I like. For me, the whole sequence of him self-mutilating was like really hard to watch.
Really hard
Like,
to watch.
And I see a lot of fucked. I watch a lot of fucked up
like
shit.
I was like, oh wow, that might really stick with me in a permanent or semi-permanent way. Like that might actually, I might have to carry the baggage of that around after
This might be
watching
tough
this
for a while,
movie.
yeah.
And then when he does it again,
Yes.
and that was like the time.
you watch it again.
Yeah, and the guy in the movie theater was just yelling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "What? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What is he doing?" Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. What the fuck for both of the self-mutilation moments with Riley the
Yeah.
Yeah,
child.
and totally unexpected too, because you were like, "Oh, some shit's gonna happen," but you were like, "Oh, what?
Yeah,
That's
right?
what's happening?" Like, oh my god.
Full gore.
You know what
Yeah.
it reminded me of was there's a similar self-mutilation scene in Hereditary. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I really want to watch it.
Have you seen? You've
I
seen
love Hereditary.
It wasn't as good though. Like I don't know what it was. There's just something. I think
What was the
it might be
self-
like
is
this actor. I think this like kid actor just like really also did.
The
like,
kid was really good.
Wait.
He did this like body work.
I
in
don't
it
wanna
that
give-
was like
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to give anything away because Mandy, you haven't seen Hereditary.
seen
but are you
Hereditary.
talking about the end?
No, I'm talking about the scene where like he's like in the classroom. It's like the beginning of his possession, and he like raises his
forgot
hand.
about that,
But
yeah.
then there's a lot of like table head slamming.
No,
and
you know,
it's like,
and it's interesting. I forgot about it, but this one in Talk to Me, I don't think I would forget.
No,
You'll
it's way
never,
better.
you'll
Yeah.
never have
You'll
the
never-
luxury of forgetting.
never
I can
unsee
see
it.
it right now happening.
Oh yeah, it was really a truly brutal scene, which I was like, that was when I was like sold on the movie. I was like,
Yeah.
you guys are sick in a really good way, where you're like, we're just gonna totally subvert your expectations and like really fuck this up for you. I loved it. Yeah, I really loved it. I think it's a solid. Like I loved this movie and will want to watch it many more times.
I think I would.
Yeah, so which for me is definitely like top tier horror movie.
I might have to have a drink or two before the self-mutilation scene.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, and
Just
you
to
know,
bear it.
just because I'm not on a horror podcast every day, I want to share the take that everybody hates that I have, which is I don't like Midsummer. I think it's a mediocre film.
You get the fuck out of here.
I think it's full of images that don't mean anything.
We're deleting this episode.
Delete it.
Cancel.
Gone.
She's
Whole
canceled.
episode canceled.
Me and my asymmetrical ass face.